What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy Mr. Random, and today we're going to be working on that Mustang behind me. Some of you guys might know it as the Vader Mustang, but there's actually one thing I noticed this morning when I woke up and I decided to get dressed, is that I'm actually kind of matching today. I just don't focus on the big chest. Look at that. I didn't even realize I put on a freaking Darth Vader shirt today when I got dressed. Either way, the point of today's video is to work on the Vader Mustang. So I decided to help you guys out in saving a few $100. And how might I be able to save you a few $100? Well, I'm about to show you right now. That's because today, boys, we're gonna change our valve cover gasket. Now, if you haven't seen the video where I actually take the Mustang to a dealership to get diagnosed to see exactly what the hell is wrong with it, one of the biggest problems was it has a major valve cover gasket leak. Now, a lot of these Mustangs back in the day came with cork gaskets instead of rubber ones, and the cork tends to break and crack. And as you guys can see, it's hard to tell from the camera, but all that shiny glimmer is all oil that's been leaking from the Stang. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm actually going to show you guys step by step how to remove your valve cover and replace the valve cover gasket. Now, believe it or not, this actually is a common issue with these new edge Mustangs. For some reason, Ford couldn't seem to figure things out with a Crown Vic. They decided to make the plastic intake manifold, which eventually end up cracking, and now with these Mustangs it's a stupid valve cover gasket. But either way, it's a simple, easy fix, but it's going to save you guys a couple $100. So without further ado, let's get to work on the Vader Stang. Now, in today's video, what we're going to be doing is actually changing the passenger side valve cover gasket. But in order to do that, we actually got to remove a couple things out of the way. The first and the most obvious, biggest thing we got to remove is the entire air intake. Now, either way, I got to remove the air intake because I'm actually ordering a cold air intake for the Vader Stang, and it's going to be something that most of you guys aren't used to seeing. So that's going to be very interesting. So either way, we got to remove this thing. So it's just a matter of removing a couple of hoses right here, unscrewing this bolt right here, and using a flathead screwdriver to unscrew the bolt that goes into the throttle body. And it's as easy as that. So let's get to work. One thing I forgot to mention before we start any of this: completely disconnect your battery. Just completely. Some people like to do the negative, the positive. Just completely unhook your battery. So let's get to that. Now, the next step, as you guys can see, there's a couple of wires. There's a couple of wires that are connected to the valve cover right here. As you guys can see, they're just pretty much hooked on to the bolts by these little plastic housings. All you really got to do is just pull it off. It just comes right off, as you guys can see. And then you're going to want to disconnect any hoses that might actually be in your way. For example, this one right. Disconnect this hose. All right, and next we're going to use a deep socket wrench to get to these screws right here that are aligning the entire valve cover. Now this size socket wrench is fine for now, but eventually the hardest part is all the way at the end. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to leave that one for last because we're going to need to get creative with that. We're going to need an extender. We're going to need a universal joint. We're going to need something that curves. It's going to be a little crazy, but we'll get to it. Everything is possible. So let's go ahead and remove these bolts, and we'll worry about that one later. All right, guys, and once you have successfully removed the valve cover along with all the screws and all the grommets and stuff like that, the next step, and actually this is one of the most important steps before you put everything back together, is you have to use some degreaser and pretty much just degrease the crap out of every little screw hole, every little corner of this thing. What I'm going to use is a soft bristle wire brush, as you guys can see, and a regular old scraper to remove any residue that might actually be left over. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Alright guys, so as my friend Freddie gets his nose clean with grease that he had over there, as you guys can see, actually big shout out to him for helping me out as well doing this. You guys can see we got the cams right there exposed. That's because we removed the valve cover. Now the next and almost final step is, after you cleaned out the valve cover, we just kind of presented the gasket there. What we're gonna do is actually use this ultra gray gasket maker, and what we're gonna do is actually just present it in the grooves of the valve cover, as you guys can see. Then we're gonna go ahead and present the gasket. We'll let it dry for a couple minutes, and then we'll go ahead and install it. So we'll get right back to that. All right guys, so this by far, believe it or not, is the hardest part, and it's actually presenting the valve cover back in, because we kind of got to wiggle it and angle it a certain way to make it fit back into its spot. Try to lift it up as much as shit. Yeah, I remember I had a so it looks like it's in.
Yeah, you know, it's definitely in.
All right guys, and once your valve cover has been put back, remember the way you want to tighten the screws is opposite and crisscross. So we're going to start with this one first right here, and then we're going to the next one is going to be the bottom left one, and then after that we're going to start with a very corner, and we'll come to here, and it's just going to be a crisscross pattern. So that is the next step, and we should be pretty much done after that. All right guys, and that is going to be the end of the video. This thing was a pain in the ass. Like I said, pretty much the only thing you guys need to know is the whole bolt pattern crisscross kind of thing. Besides that, everything else is self-explanatory. You really don't need to remove the fuel rail or anything else to get rid of the passenger side valve cover. It really is easy. All you got to do is move these vacuum lines and harnesses out of the way, move these hoses out of the way, and obviously get rid of the air intake like you guys saw. But that's pretty much it. Now when you're done, you got to let the car sit for 24 hours before you put any fluids in it. So I'm gonna wait till tomorrow to actually do the full-blown oil change, and then I'll turn it on and all of that. And another thing that I didn't mention today is, of course, obviously my boy Freddie here helped me out. We installed the coil packs and the spark plugs as well. These are super easy to take out. You do not need to remove the fuel rail either. They literally just come right off. So I figured I didn't really want to do a video on that because it's too easy and self-explanatory. Either way, that's pretty much it. And so again, big shout out to Freddie, Natalie for showing up and putting up with us, and the dogs for keeping watch of us. And hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys can save a couple $100 by doing this. Either way, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy.